Hello once again. The ANC National Working Committee will meet today to discuss suspended Secretary General Ace Magashule's defiance of the National Executive Committee's instruction to apologise to party branches for writing a letter of suspension to President Cyril Ramaphosa. The last NEC meeting confirmed Magashule's suspension and gave him 48 hours in which to apologise to the ANC branches or risk further disciplinary action. Instead, Magashule approached the High Court in Johannesburg to request it to declare the ANC's step-aside resolution unlawful and set aside his suspension. On the sidelines of a government event in Limpopo on Saturday, Ramaphosa questioned Magashule's loyalty to the party. He described his conduct as both shocking and unprecedented. For the latest on the ANC NWC meeting, we speak to SABC News political reporter Samkele Maseko on the line. A very good morning to you, Samkele. Samkele, Magashule is top of the agenda in today's meeting. What can be expected?
A very good morning to you, Desiree, and to the listeners. Essentially, what's happening in the ANC's National Working Committee meeting is that the NWC will be processing reports that will be delivered by some of the party's officials on the issue of the Secretary General. Remember, the last National Executive Committee meeting had instructed the ANC officials to engage with the Secretary General Ace Magashule to apologise to the organisation for that unprecedented, unlawful letter that he had sent to ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa without the ANC structure's endorsement, like the NWC, the top six, and the ANC, and the suspension that he purported to be saying to President Ramaphosa. Ace Magashule has subsequently gone to court to challenge the constitutionality of the ANC step-aside resolution and also to enforce his suspension of ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa, and for the court to declare that his suspension is unlawful. That essentially has thrown the ANC into a quagmire, because you've had the ANC's Deputy Secretary General engaging in an SACP lecture saying that there are two warring factions in the ANC currently, and there is no listening that seems to be taking place within the party. Even ANC's policies are being alienated just on the virtue that they are being scored to certain people who are wearing camouflage uniforms in some corner and are perceived as mad. Those are people who are aligned to the Secretary General Ace Magashule, which is NKMVA, and the radical economic transformation within the governing party. So the NWC today will be processing those particular reports of Ace Magashule and getting an update on the ANC's heavyweight legal team led by Senior Counsel Tim Groove, who will be leading the ANC's legal bid against the Secretary General Ace Magashule's court application to have his suspension and his step-aside ANC resolution nullified by the court. And also, there was a time frame that was placed before Ace Magashule to apologise to ANC structures. He has not met that particular timeline, so the NWC will then be giving guidance to the ANC officials on what legal proceedings now to institute against the Secretary General of the ANC, or to further confer more charges of ill discipline against the Secretary General of the African National Congress. As we remember in history, the ANC used to frown upon leaders who would take the organization to court. Ace Magashule was one of those leaders, particularly in his days as the Free State provincial chairperson, who frowned upon ANC members and leaders taking the organization to court. Subsequently to what you find now, he has taken the ANC to court. You've heard over the weekend in Limpopo, in Sekhukhune, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa saying that he's shocked that the Secretary General of the ANC, who's the one who's supposed to be enforcing ANC's regulations and ANC's resolutions of the 54th National Conference, is the one who is taking the organization to court in an unprecedented move that President Cyril Ramaphosa says is for the first time that you essentially have a sitting official of the governing party taking the organization to court.
Do we have a sense of what else they're dealing with, Samkele?
Essentially, the main thrust of this NWC meeting is the step-aside resolution. Those who've stepped aside, those who've been suspended, the day-to-day running of the organization, such as the preparations for the local government elections, the selection processes for the councillors that is going to be undertaken. Those guidelines are out. There are various branch general meetings that are taking place across the country. If you remember, the last NEC, President Ramaphosa of the ANC said that there are already about 2,200 branches that have gone to branch general meetings. That's about half of the 4,300 branches that the ANC has across the country. And you've got various regional conferences that are being prepared for. That's going to be one of the issues on the agenda. Just over the weekend in one of the regions in the Northern Cape, that particular regional conference had to be postponed due to bogus delegates being found in the list of those who were conferred as delegates to that regional conference. That may also have a bearing on this weekend's provincial conference of the ANC in the Northern Cape, which is going to take place in Kuruman. So it essentially tells you that there is going to be organizational issues that are going to be discussed. There's preparations to the local government elections and also the various regional conferences that need to be held by the African National Congress across the country in regions such as the biggest of the ANC, which is eThekwini region, and all other 11 regions of KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape regions. All of them also have to go to regional conferences, and we've also got a quagmire of Gauteng, which also has to hold all regional conferences of all regions that they have in the province, and also a provincial conference in the Western Cape and in the Northwest Province. You had Shomane Chauke, the coordinator of the Northwest Province, saying that they're going to have their provincial conference in the next 2 months, which would mean in the next few days they're going to have to go to regional conferences. If they don't, they're going to have to use those branch delegates from those various regions for that provincial conference. So essentially, the issue of the African National Congress is going to be inward looking for this National Working Committee with a glimpse of deliberation on the second phase of inoculations for the COVID-19 vaccine in the country. Those 60-year-old senior citizens in the country who are now being vaccinated in the second round of phase 2 of the vaccination program of the country. That's going to also be slightly looked at in the National Working Committee meeting of the African National Congress. And also the court case of former President Jacob Zuma, which goes back to court on Wednesday in the Pietermaritzburg Regional High Court, which has essentially become a battlefield for ANC factional battles, as we saw last week with that address by Tony Yengeni and also Carl Niehaus, and the booing of the officials of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, the provincial secretary and the chairperson, Sihle Zigalala. So the thrust of it, today's National Working Committee meeting of the African National Congress is inward looking on matters of their organization.
Of course, you'll bring us the actual outcomes as and when they're available.
Indeed.
Samkele Maseko there for you.